Hey cats, thanks for tuning in. It's Ed Incredibud here. Today got a review on this brand new super shoe from Saucony. This is the Endorphin Elite 2. I can tell you with some certainty this is the softest super shoe that I have ever reviewed on the channel by some margin. But with that eye-watering price, does that make this a bang-in must-have option? Let's find out. Thanks for tuning in, people. Always appreciated. Do hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up like. Drop us a comment as well to help with the YouTube algorithm. Dankeschön. So weight wise, we've got about 233 grams here in my UK 11 or US 12 of the Saucony Endorphin Elite 2. That's certainly in the ballpark for what you would expect from a super shoe of this caliber. It's so light in hand that when I received the box with them in, I thought it was empty. The foam here in the midsole is incredibly soft, easily the softest I've ever tried out on the channel. This is coming in around Shore A 11. I think the average was about 28. It really is quite insane. I thought the Adios Pro 4 Lightstrike Pro formula there was very soft, but this really destroys that. Pretty wide landing area across the forefoot and the heel, it has to be said. Not perhaps as wide as the Alpha Fly 3, but it's certainly getting there. This one's coming in at 280 Earth credits here in the UK. I have been sent this shoe from Saucony to review, but they're not paying me to make this video, and they're not going to get to see my views before my valued viewers get to see them either. So take on this one up to about 17 miles of testing so far, and here's what I think of it. Upper-wise, the almost see-through mesh that we've got here is certainly lighter, a little bit more traditional feeling than the previous version of the Endorphin Elite. I really do like the knit material down through the tongue section here, rather than the very flat material-based tongue that we had in the last one. Though I do get quite a bit of bunching here in my pair. I think that's probably due to my slightly narrow foot. If you're after a super shoe with some good width to it, then the Endorphin Elite 2 could be right up your alley. But for me, it means I'm going to have to sub out the laces again on a Saucony shoe. I seem to prefer something with serrated laces versus the very stretchy ones that we've got here out the box. I did that with the Endorphin Speed 4, with the Endorphin Pro 4 as well. Just think that's going to help a little bit with the lockdown here. Mega breathable upper. It's been a little bit warmer. The temps are starting to go up as we come out of winter. It does feature this 3D printed heel collar, which is extremely flexible. I mean, there's some structure to it here, but you can collapse it completely. Reminds me a little bit of the New Balance Beacon V3 or the 1080 from New Balance that was out a few years ago. The strange flip over tab on the end of the tongue is intriguing. I kind of like it both ways actually, but I think this is a really banging shoe. It does look absolutely fantastic, like something from some sort of alien world. I would say this shoe is true to size. I don't think going down a half size is going to solve the bunching problems for me. It's just going to diminish the weight a little bit, and when we're thinking about reusing this one for a marathon, I think as your foot starts to swell up, you're going to need that extra space at the forefoot area of the shoe. So it really is quite a departure from the sandal-like upper that we had on the previous version. Overlays have been kept to an absolute minimum. I think this one's just here to add a bit of structure to the front of the shoe, and they've gone with these overlays here, which are a little bit like the sling back kind of vibe we've got going on the Adidas race shoes. I just can't help but wonder, for my slightly narrow feet, whether some standard eyelets would work a little bit better here. Not quite the perfect fit for me, sadly, on this one. Ideal though if you've got voluminous feet. I'll give it a 2.6 out of 3 for the upper so far. Midsole wise, well, anybody with stability concerns should probably avoid this shoe. It's simply so soft that I think that anyone that is perhaps a heavier built runner is going to hammer through this shoe. In terms of ankle weakness, probably best avoided. This TPEE foam, the softest I've ever tried. There's nothing that's even close. But does soft always mean fast? I think that's why this one firmly for me is a marathon pace shoe. When you look at something like the Adios 9, for example, it's a real banger, a lower stack on that. You could use that for like a 5 or 10k race, but with this, it's firmly in that sort of marathon or perhaps half marathon bracket for me. You're going to need some good form to get the best out of this one. If you're a neutral runner, neutral foot strike, you're going to be fine. If you pronate, I think you could run into some issues. Despite the increase in the width of the heel here, this INCREDIRUN foam, yes, that's what it's called. Very compressive, and that firmly puts it into a very specific category for me. I did find this one quite hard to run, in fact, at 5k pace. Yes, it's very forgiving, but I think they've kind of tuned it here to be more of an impact protector, perhaps closer to the formula of Light Strike Pro that we've got on the Adios Pro 4, or the newer Nitro Elite formula that we've got in like the Fast R Nitro Elite 2 or the Deviate Nitro Elite 3. It does return to shape very quickly, though the softness is very different to something like Zoom X that we've all kind of grown up with, I suppose, when these super shoes first appeared. I do have to say, after a 10-mile run, round about 7 minutes 45 seconds per mile on Sunday, in the evening I actually forgot that I'd run, and that was after numerous trips up and down the stairs, taking a load of stuff to the dump, like an old garden shed that I had to get rid of. My legs felt incredible the next day, and I do expect this new INCREDIRUN foam to be very forgiving, but whether it lasts the test of time, I don't know. 10 miles at 7 minutes 44 per mile, throwing in some faster bursts a bit later on. 253 feet of elevation gain there on some tired legs. Had a gig the night before, 2 hours stood up, so that's what you're getting here. So if you're perhaps in doubt whether you're going to get through some of those longer races, this could help you. Lots of cushion, lots of squash. Does feel this time very much like that carbon plate is there to stabilise things a little bit. Without it, it would be very compressive. A midsole that's going to suit some and not others, I think. I've enjoyed it so far though. I'll give it a 2.9 out of 3 for the midsole. Outsole wise, I'm very pleased to see that Saucony are using a new formula here. It's very coarse, very grippy, nice tackiness to it as well. One of those that seems to get better and better each time. I believe this rubber is the same stuff they use on their trail shoes called Power Track. It's a grippy alternative to some of the stuff that they've used before. That was perhaps always the weaker point on the Endorphin Pro. I just wanted a little bit more grip. Thankfully, with this better application here, that's exactly what we've got. Great on road and pavement with the additional surface area of rubber and pattern design. I felt there's a good amount of grab to the surface and terrain. Certainly on toe-off and landings feel nice and assured now. Little in the way of wet weather to try this one out recently, so can't really comment on that one too much, but I will keep you updated as I go on testing out the Endorphin Elite 2. So in terms of grip, a really big improvement. I have detected one issue though, and that is this foam is so soft, some of the rubber's already starting to try and liberate itself. I had the same issue in the Adios Pro 4, right back here in the heel. It's where the shoe takes the most pounding, and we've got a little bit of separation already. So I'm going to get the shoe glue out and get that on there pretty quickly to stop any further deterioration. So you're going to have to bear that in mind. If you want the softest shoe out there, then it's going to happen, okay? Just got to take that one on the chin. Love the outsole. From a grip perspective though, let's just hope that it holds up over time. Going to give it a 2.8 out of 3 for the outsole so far. Value now. So this is where I'm going to get a little bit tougher on the Elite 2 when you consider that the Adios Pro 4, which is close in terms of softness, is readily available in many colorways now, and it's only 220 quid. Can I justify the extra £60 that this one costs on top of that? I'm finding the uppers not quite as nuanced as the Adios Pro 4, at least for me. That uses a very simple approach here, and we've got a lot more sort of added materials here. Do we need all of them? Could Saucony have perhaps limited the weight down a little bit more and got rid of some of these things? Super soft midsole here and a really well designed outsole now. I think the Adios Pro 4 is as close to perfection in a running shoe that you're going to get at the moment. Similar softness, Comfort is there, certainly in this one, though I think perhaps if you have a slightly wider foot, or perhaps a slightly taller foot, then the Elite 2 might be a better bet for you. I know a few people have bought the Adios Pro 4 and just found it a little bit too narrow, so this could be right up your street. Quality is up there, which you would expect, certainly for a shoe of £280. If you're looking at this video, it probably means that you're contemplating this shoe, or at least you're interested in it. Perhaps you're even considering it for your next marathon. I mean, for that purpose, it's got all you probably want, though if you're going to try to utilize it in testing, I would perhaps use it for the premium sessions only and try and keep that sort of midsole softness in the box ready for your marathon. Slightly more niche this shoe, but I think you really do need to get a load of miles in at marathon pace in a race shoe before you can really decide. So it's costly, but if you want that max cushion for your marathon miles, well, you're gonna just have to make that decision yourself. It's certainly very fun and exciting to run in though, and incredibly forgiving on the leg, so that might make it worth it for you. I'm going to give it a 2.7 out of 3 so far. Just a little bit costly, I think. If it was a touch cheaper, I think I would have been able to score it higher. If I've totted up the scores correctly after my initial testing for the Saucony Endorphin Elite 2, we've got 11 out of 12. This one certainly feels a little bit more natural to me than the quite firm and responsive Endorphin Elite. Just need to see if I can get a slightly better lockdown and switch out these laces. Have you picked up the Endorphin Elite 2, or are you thinking about it? Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one down in the comments. It is bonkers soft. I've never ever felt anything like this before. Very quick musical interlude for you. I've been listening to an album from back in 1997, New Forms from Ronnie Size and Represent. Fantastic to think that Ronnie Size kind of came through the youth centres, you know, making tracks on his sampler and an early computer, and managed to get his music out to such a huge range of people, playing at Glastonbury, winning the Mercury Music Prize, producing something that was, you know, true to form, really. He didn't deviate or try and make it, you know, really commercially successful or like attractive. Absolutely love New Forms. So many great tunes on this one. Really love the track Digital and Let's Get It On as well. Really good mixture here of music that I've found loads of genres thrown in. It was obviously built around that sort of jungle vibe. But then you've got jazz, you've got some sort of more techno elements. There's reggae. All the things that perhaps Ronnie Size grew up with, he managed to get them into the tracks. Made a really tasty broth. Perhaps you've never heard of Ronnie Size, I suggest you go and check out some of his stuff. Also from DJ Crust as well, his long-time collaborator. New Forms from Ronnie Size and Represent. Thanks for tuning in, people. Hope you enjoyed the Saucony review today. Hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up like. Drop us a comment as well to help with the YouTube algorithm, or perhaps even a super thanks, or become a member of the channel to help support us on a more ad hoc basis. My name's Eddbud, and I'll be seeing you